I knew what I was doing to ask her to be my vice president. I knew her. I knew of her. I knew about her. I knew her record. I trusted her. She always served this country with purpose and integrity, and she always will. And you're not going anywhere, kid, because we're not going to let you go. Not going anywhere.
Ever since Election Day, I have been surprised, and maybe I shouldn't be by what sore winners Republicans have been still as angry and upset as ever. And that's only getting worse with some breaking news about Vice President VP Harris that I can't wait to get into because it's making Republicans, especially Donald Trump, who we know is always angry and vengeful, even more upset. And we are going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't ready and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me now. Like I said, Republicans have just still been so upset, and it's only going to get worse with some news about Vice President Harris that President Biden hinted at a recent DNC holiday party. And before we get to this news, I want to take a look at what he said right here.
Let me say it's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But the title I'm most proud of being Jill's husband. You know, it's well known by now. I had to ask her 5 times. Thank God she said yes the 5th time. But I think she's been one of our greatest first ladies, and I mean that sincerely. She wasn't kidding about the first speeches she made. She was scared to death to go out and make those speeches. Well, look at her now. Yo, I'm in trouble. But look, it's also been an incredible honor to serve with someone of immense character that she demonstrated through her entire career, Kamala Harris. I knew what I was doing to ask her to be my vice president. I knew her. I knew of her. I knew about her. I knew her record. I trusted her. She always served this country with purpose and integrity. And she always will. And you're not going anywhere, kid, because we're not going to let you go. Not going anywhere. You know, just as our great second gentleman, I love that, second gentleman. This guy's one of the best lawyers in America. This guy gave up this guy's an incredible guy. And one thing we have in common, I used to practice law for about 10 days, but I used to practice law. But the thing Doug and I have in common, we both married way above our station. Thank you, Doug and Kamala, not only for your service, but Jill and I are grateful to call you dear friends.
Vice President Harris isn't going anywhere. She is not letting Donald Trump and the MAGA movement shut down her voice, take away her power. She is staying in this fight. And it's not just by speaking out, because CNN has some new reporting about what VP Harris's political future might look like. And I want to get into that right here.
We haven't seen or heard much from Vice President Kamala Harris since she lost the election last month. But the Democratic Party still reels from Trump's victory. Conversations are already happening about her next move. Our Isaac Dover has brand new reporting this morning that details how the vice president is debating her future, including talk among her allies of a potential run for governor that would take a 2028 White House run off the table. And Isaac is back here at this table. All right, so Isaac, tell us what the likelihood is of Harris running for governor.
What she's been saying to people over the last couple of weeks, donors, other supporters that she's been talking with, is, you haven't seen the last of me, I'm not going quietly into the night. Advisors, people close to her, are debating about what that means. They do not want her final official act ever to be essentially certifying Donald Trump's win over her, especially 4 years after January 6th. And so they look at this governor's race in California in 2026, and it seems to them like a layup, essentially, that she would probably clear the field, or mostly clear the field, and she would get to be governor of California. It's a pretty good job, right? It was good enough for Ronald Reagan and Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jerry Brown. But if she does that, that means that she couldn't turn around and run for president again in 2028, right? She'd need to essentially declare right away. And that is what it really comes down to, because there are people close to her who say she didn't get a fair shot this year. It wasn't up to what she could have done, and look how well she performed anyway. She should get to go again in 2028. And then there are ones who say, look, with where things are with the Democratic Party, she would not have a cleared field, rather, in the Democratic primary, and could lose the nomination. And to come off of 2024 into that would be really terrible.
No question.
Now I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that I think the defining phrase of this upcoming Trump presidency is going to be, unfortunately, I told you so. And we told you so that Donald Trump isn't going to bring down prices, that Donald Trump isn't the president of peace, that Donald Trump's tariffs aren't going to solve all our nation's ills. No, he is going to destroy our economy like he has in the past, and he'll be a disaster as president, and his uniquely unqualified cabinet will do some real damage to our country. All of the things that VP Harris said on the campaign trail. And so the possibility of her returning as the Democratic nominee in 2028 is very much on the table. And if not, there are many elections that she could run in with, one specifically. I think the only election that she'd want to run in, besides running for president, is Governor of California VP Harris. Still has a political future, and Donald Trump is pretty sour grapes about that. Still pretty upset about even this election. Just take a look what he had to say today.
I see others. I have a few others that I'm doing. I'm going to, as an example, I'm doing this not because I want to. I'm doing this because I feel I have an obligation to. I'm going to be bringing one against the people in Iowa, their newspaper, which had a very, very good pollster who got me right all the time. And then just before the election, she said I was going to lose by 3 or 4 points, and it became the biggest story all over the world because I was going to win Iowa by 20 points. The farmers loved me, and I loved the farmers. And it was interesting the way she did it. She brought it down 2 weeks before. She said I was going to only win by 4. That was a big story. But that was good because she brought it down from like 22 points to 4 or whatever the number was. Way up, easy win. Never even thought to go there. I respect them. I love them. And they understand there's no reason to go there because she brought her Trump is still angry about positive polling for VP Harris from this past election, saying that he wants to sue and Seltzer, the Iowa pollster, who had VP Harris winning the state by 3 points, which, unfortunate, was not the outcome. I really wish we lived in the world in which it was. But Donald Trump is still caught up in that. He is still upset about all the takedowns of him that VP Harris delivered, her message that showed who Donald Trump was. And unfortunately, the American people didn't listen. But it's not the only upset, the only election he's upset about. Listen him talk about 2020 right here. We had that election. If it were an honorable election, we wouldn't have had any of the problems that we're talking about right now. Putin would have never got it.
You said that you could make that deal before you take office. Do you still think you could make that deal?
I'm going to try.
Will you ask Putin to give up Assad?
Well, I hadn't thought of it. I think we have to get on with our lives. We'll have to see what happens. But
he is still saying that the 2020 election was stolen. He cannot get President Biden or Vice President Harris out of his head. They're living rentree. And that's why I think that in the world and God, I hope this doesn't happen, that Donald Trump tries to run again in 2028. Or even if it's J.D. Vance, if it's Tucker Carlson, if it's any other Republican who is closely tied to Donald Trump, if we continue to see the MAGA movement persist, and I think we will, unfortunately, I think this is the Republican Party, but I think that also means the Republican Party is much more beatable, because if Donald Trump spends 4 years talking tariffs and slapping them on all the goods imported into this country, raising prices, because because he doesn't understand basic economics if Donald Trump gets us into more trouble and chaos across the globe, if Donald Trump continues to lose his mind and let RFK Jr. get rid of vaccines, yeah, I think there will be a great and very easy case to be made, and there already is against the MAGA movement that many Democrats could deliver, but I think VP Harris might be uniquely positioned to do, and if not, she can still run for office in her home state of California. The governor's race 2026 could be that opportunity for VP Harris, but she still has a political future for those supporters of hers who want to see her continue to be on the national stage, and she's basically selling it herself. Just listen to her right here.
The true measure of the strength of a leader is not based on who you beat down, it's based on who you lift up. And that spirit, the spirit with which we do our work, and hear me when I say this, that spirit that fuels the countless hours and days and months of work that you have put into this, that spirit can never be defeated. Our spirit is not defeated. We are not defeated. Let's be clear about that.
Voice. President Harris is promising not to step out of this race. So if you still see her as a person who could potentially be our candidate 2028, if you still want to see her on the national stage representing the Democratic Party, you got a lot of hope. She's not backing down. And I like that. She's not stepping aside, that she's not hiding in the shadows. I continue to want to hear VP Harris's voice, and we're going to be talking about that every single day on the show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.